So my name is Denny Janae Richards. I'm 25 from Cheshire, and I am doing a research project for the lack of representation of ethnic minorities in a rural area.
So my name is Kay, I'm from the QSA space, and our initiative is about providing a safe space for LGBTQ South Asians. That is primarily will be online and in an in-person environment as time goes on.
My name's Abdulaziz, and the project that I'm working on is called Shabeen.
My name is Shania Ives, and I am the co-founder, Director of Operations and CEO of the not-for-profit organisation Adoptee Futures CIC.
So my name is Kamal, and I'm a youth advocate for Revoke.
My name is Sharif. I'm also a youth advocate for Revoke. Mainly my main position is like a young activist.
So my name is Alicia, and I'm working with Littlehampton Youth. So I want to get like 14, 16 to 25-year-olds and upskill them, give them a place to socialise, teach them how to interact with the statutory services that we have, and just get more opportunities for them, because there's not many opportunities where we live.
About 12 months ago, my family opened up an arts cafe. So it's like a cultural space. It's just for we run like music events and stuff like that from there. And the ethos of it is kind of what spurred me on to do this. And then when I came across, obviously, challenge and change, I was like, no time like the present. It just kind of aligned with where I was at in terms of like exploring myself. And I was just like, so I did the application. I'll be honest, I just did it and kind of put it kind of to the back of my head. I was like, it's a learning curve. It's something I've not done before. So then when obviously Rochelle called and she was like, oh, we're gonna grant it to you, I was like, okay. So yeah, but BLM kind of like triggered it. And then, as I say, growing up, like just I was with my mum 90% of the time. So, and obviously a white woman can't only teach you so much of your own race, do you know what I mean? And I'm old enough now to be able to take it into my own hands and kind of get that knowledge myself. So from where I'm from, it's a quite predominantly white area, so there's not a lot of representation for people like me. And it's mainly just a starting point, because we're going to do some research and take it from there, really. Eventually, hopefully, end goal-wise, I'd like to have some sort of training programme in place for the youth, so to go into schools and stuff.
We're currently preparing for our in-person launch event in a few weeks, which will involve a lot of creatives and people from around the country, around the world as well, and a lot of performances from different backgrounds. And yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a really educational evening as well, and a chance for people to meet like-minded individuals.
So Adoptee Futures CIC is the first UK organisation run by adopted people for everyone involved in adoption, with adoptees at our centre. So we start with the belief that the separation of adoption is trauma, and that an individual who's adopted can face many different traumas across their lifespan. So we work with adopted adults who may have suffered with mental distress, and we do this by doing workshops, groups, coaching and consulting.
So Revoke advocates rights and welfare for refugees and asylum seekers. So a lot of refugees and asylum seekers in this country, they do not get support that they need, and so me as a refugee, so far as an asylum seeker, my expectation were completely different, and I saw a lot of challenging here in this country so far since when I arrived. So for us, Revoke, so we do want that these young people do not experience bad situation in this country, and they not getting support, they left behind, they've forgotten all of this. So we have to help them to, stand up as refugee and asylum seeker, they welcome to the UK. For this program, so we are focusing more about housing because this is the main issues. Everyone should have a roof, and that's very important. So in a hostile environment or the people that the caregivers or that living in care, so we help them and to get a good space.
What we really want to do, so I want to do registered courses where you can actually get a qualification, and workshops where experts will come in and talk about whatever they want to talk about, whether it be like finance management, economics, and maybe even like math, science. And I'm thinking that's for like the older group, they'll like that more. And then the younger groups will do like art and just fun group activities.
The trigger to it was probably all the Black Lives Matter stuff, because I think whether I was naive to it or whether I just kind of turned a blind eye to any forms of subtle racism. I was never directive or anything aggressive or anything like that, but any just subtle signs of it that I've kind of just brushed off or just not really noticed. I immediately started to pick up on it the minute all of the George Floyd stuff happened, and I think that was the wake up. And my older brother's very passionate about race and equality and everything like that, rightly so. But as I say, I'm slightly more detached from it. Trying to get more attached, obviously.
So the initial egg came, I believe, on January 24th, 2021, at 3 a.m. in the morning, so about over a year ago, a year and a half. I had previously wrote my coming out story for a magazine for a friend, and I was like, wow, there's no magazines for people LGBTQA South Asians. I'm going to start a magazine. Had the brainwave, thought of the name an hour later, at 4 a.m, ran it by one person, and then I made the website within 4 days. And then I was started designing everything, and I was like, I can't actually do a magazine completely by myself. This is going to be very hard. And then a couple of months went by, the idea was still there, and I was like, why don't I just turn it into a website? Started building it, and I was like, I'm a creative myself. I don't have a space. There is so much I want to explore in my creativity. So if I don't have that space, other people definitely don't have that space. And there's so much amazing artwork out there that wouldn't be appreciated by other communities. So I thought, why not put it all in one place? And that's how it came about.
What inspired me to get into this is that I've been to organisations where youth, the young people were valued, and that was a long time ago. Now it's the young people are not looked into, their mental health is not looked into, what the limitations that they have to actually fulfill certain things ain't looked into. But when I was younger, I had a little bit of that, and feeling that was great. And in order for, if I can provide the young people the space for them to feel like the young adults that they are, and the future that they are, instead of just telling them, I want to show them. And I feel like that's what inspired me to get into this.
So what inspired me to get involved in this work was my lived experience. I am an adult adoptee, I'm also a queer adoptee, and I'm also Black. Growing up, I didn't know any other adoptees, and I suffered a lot of mental distress. I wasn't able to link the mental distress with my adoption until I was lucky enough to have a therapist who taught me about developmental trauma. When I was on my therapy journey, I was doing a lot of research around the dominant narrative in adoption, and there is a big narrative that adoption is beautiful, that a child has been given another home, a better life, but we don't think about what has happened before. What has happened that is so terrible that a birth parent has to give up their child. And so there's a lot of trauma that goes on with birth parents, and then there's a lot of developmental trauma that goes on with adoptees in childhood and also in adulthood. Adoptees are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide, So looking at all of these statistics and seeing that the organisations in the UK weren't catered towards adoptees inspired me to start my own organisation to help support adoptees and to change the narrative.
Yeah, so he mentioned about River. I mean, how I met the River, I didn't even expect how they could help us, how they can help our need. Because when I arrived in the UK, I was detained for a day for registration. I mean, it's normal, but yeah, definitely. That was a day just for registration. It could be worth just wait a moment. And then as time goes on, they came out and asked me that you have you have appointment in Home Office in Croydon. When you come with your staff. I mean, I didn't know what was going on. So the moment I get there, there is a police surrounding the car. So we get out from the van and we got arrested. I mean, I was shocked, and I came in the country. Well, you say illegal, but I came in and present myself. I didn't sneak out in the country. I came as a legal and then asked for asylum for you to notice that I'm not like bad person or criminal or something like that. But that's why they label out. In order to escape the system, how they have to fix the system in order. So, I mean, it seems like asylum seekers are facing a lot of appalling act in this government. My situation was the same thing. I'm going through the same, like what I've been saying earlier about my situation, it having any. Yeah, and then I also need someone to help me. But I can't find anybody. So I have to be, as an activist, helping others and helping myself as well. Because I cannot help myself and then let other people struggling as the same. So the fact that I have a little bit voice and having this network going to help me to raise my voice, then I will use that opportunity to help people who are struggling in the same situation.
I'd like to maybe reach out to schools directly, just to go in and have like brief discussions, talk to maybe some of the kids of colour that are within those schools, because I know that there's not a lot of them, maybe even the colleges if college kids want to.
So in the next 12 months, we want to achieve more in-person workshops, and that would be taking people's ideas in the community and what they want to learn about, what they feel is missing, and bring people together. So this involves photography workshops, dance workshops, that's the creative side. But we also want to touch on industries, so women, non-binary, trans people in tech or science or wherever. I really want to hone in on the fact that there are opportunities out there are job opportunities everywhere. It doesn't mean that because there isn't the representation, it doesn't mean you can't go into that field. So I really want to bring people in to show that anything is kind of possible if you've got the ability to do it.
But I definitely want my young people to be involved and benefit from it. Like, although they're going to be attending the place, the facility, I want them to also be a part of the journey, and so that they can see what this is all about.
What I'm planning to do whilst working on Challenge and Change is kick-starting some communities for adoptees. So there's a lot of research that states that community is a massive protective factor and can help in healing. And many adoptees have never even met another adoptee in their life. So we want to create multiple communities for adoptees, but also communities for Black and global majority adoptees and queer adoptees, and then hopefully in the future, Black queer adoptees. And the reason that we're creating these communities is because community can be a very beautiful place, but it can be very unsafe. So for example, for myself, I'm a Black queer adoptee, and I may face stigma in the adoptee community because I am Black and queer, and I can face stigma in the queer community because I'm adopted and Black. So we really want these spaces to be as safe as possible, and we want the communities to not focus so much on looking so deeply into trauma, but doing activities such as art or different workshops or museum trips so that people can be together in a space with other adoptees and be uplifted.
What have we hoping to achieve? I think, to be honest with you, the 12 months is not enough for this situation at all, because it's like a system changing. So trust me, 12 months, now we have to organize, make our network, making plans, what we do, who to help, how to help, who to help us to do this work to make it to achieve a successful work for all of us, right?
So in the 12 months, I want to get a good amount of people and a good amount of employees and just help to enrich them and let them know what is actually around, because there are things around. But it's hard, especially if you've left education, to find friends and to know what you want to do. And for me, I couldn't go to college and I couldn't go to uni, and I've made a name for myself. I'm working as a marketing assistant for a decent pay, which is pretty unheard of for people who haven't got to college or university at my age. So I really want to give them what I wish there was.
I want us to kind of say at the end of it that we've achieved something and we've made an impact. I know that sounds very long cliche, but I want people to know that there is a space for them whenever, and it is community led. There is no narrative of someone else's. Even if that's for one evening or one event or two, wherever, even just on an Instagram message or whatever. I guess that would be a long-term goal, where I want this to be the place where people know they can find a safe space.
The hope that I have for my young people will be that they're treated like the future they are, and the adults engage in conversations with them and actually show them that they are the future, and basically create a foundation with them to make them believe in this, because a lot of the young people don't believe in their potentials, and sometimes they just need a place, a space to be themselves and actually grow. And a lot of the time, a lot of these young people are going through things, they don't want you to be fixers, they just want you to listen to them. And that's all I want to be.
My hopes and dreams for the next 12 months are to kickstart some amazing communities for adoptees. I want the different communities of adoptees to feel safe, to feel like they have other people that they can count on, that they can meet with, and I want the adoptees to feel like they are able to make a change in the narrative.
Well, what we want to achieve at the end of the 12 months is we want the asylum seeker to know that they are not alone and they have a support, and they also feel empowered. And we want to change their situation. We want to make the accommodation that they are living to be better. We want to let them know that they shouldn't have to be afraid of talking about their poor accommodation that they are living. And we want to assure them that our support will make a change in their life and it will bring some joy in their face. And at the end of the 12 months, hopefully we can continue that and make a better living for all of us.